Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today's topic are the missing units, lords, heroes and named characters for the Greenskins. So without further ado, let's begin. The Greenskins, also known as the Orcs and Goblins, are one of the most diverse races in all of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. While many of the sub-races essentially do the same things as each other, they do so to varying degrees, and it is better said that each of the sub-races specialize in some acts more than the others. There are indeed a plethora of missing units, heroes and lords, so let's start with the units, and for the purpose of this, we'll look over unique units that are missing before checking out any missing weapon variants, which are mostly reskins. Just a word of warning in advance, there are a lot of reskins. First, we have the Goblin Spear Chucker, a crude greenskin take on the bolt thrower. The Spear Chucker is as unreliable as any other goblin-based war machine, often built with wood, scrap metal or bones, but it is easy to produce and thus a common favourite within the ranks of the Greenskins. It is a bolt thrower, so it comes in handy when targeting large monsters or piercing large enemy ranks. Next, we have the Night Goblin Squig Gobber. Technically, this is a war machine. It is a rather large squig that acts as a ranged weapon instead of being up front in the battlefield, a rather curious case when it comes to squigs. The Squig Gobber is normally seen quite far back within the Greenskin ranks, often tended to by a crew of Night Goblins. Smaller squigs will be fed to the gobber, normally swallowed whole, and covered in the gobber's stomach juices. The gobber would then spit the smaller squigs towards its enemies, which would explode on impact. Next, we have the Colossal Squig. Rare as it might be, some squigs can grow to gigantic sizes, where the squig itself could be larger than most of even the most common beasts and monsters. Nothing really changes in regards to the squig's way of thinking. It is still very highly aggressive, but now a much more bigger force of destruction. The same could be said about the Great Cave Squigs, who, while not as large as the Colossal Squig, they are much larger than their smaller kin. Both these large types of squigs are far more destructive due to the increased size and strength that comes with it. Next, we have the Mangler Squig. Once again, another squig variant, large, in charge, and very difficult to control. Think of the Night Goblin Fanatic, but now replace it with a pair of giant squigs whose sense of direction is not that great. They have been compared to tornadoes on the battlefield, and any who are unfortunate enough to fall in their path are ripped apart in mere moments as the Mangler Squigs continue their path of destruction. Moving on, we have the Big Stabber, a Savage Orc anti-large and siege weapon. Crude as the Savage Orcs are, they are not above making simple tools to use in warfare. The Big Stabber is essentially a very large spear held up by two Savage Orcs. It acts as a crude battering ram and can also be used to keep large monsters at bay. The Big Stabber could act as an early siege attacker for Greenskin factions early on. With that, we've looked over a decent number of unique units, but we are still not done. There are many variants of units already established in game which are currently missing. While in all honesty these unit variants are not really needed, they would be a welcome addition for those players who prefer a more thematic approach, those wishing to field full goblin armies, night goblin armies, orc armies and so on. We won't go into detail regarding these units, seeing as most of them are already implemented into the game in one way, shape or form, but rather highlight them. First, we have the standard goblin with sword and shield, night goblins with spears, orc boys with additional hand weapons and another unit with spears and shield. The same could also be said for the orc biggins, as they would also have additional hand weapon choices and units with spears, savage orcs with spears, and lastly it could be possible to see new units of forest goblins with swords, bows and spears. As I said before, these really aren't that needed, and indeed are just a bunch of reskinned units, but it fits with the theme of the Greenskins being one of the most diverse races in Warhammer Fantasy. The same could also be said for the generic Lord and Hero choices, as it's mostly reskins that are missing. Firstly the heroes, the standard Orc Big Boss, the Savage Orc Big Boss, Night Goblin Big Boss, the Savage Orc Shaman, Goblin Shaman, and the possibilities of the addition of a Forest Goblin Big Boss and Forest Goblin Shaman. Secondly, the missing lords, the Black Orc War Boss, Goblin War Boss, Savage Orc War Boss, Night Goblin Great Shaman, and the Savage Orc Great Shaman. Yeah, like I said, there are a bunch of reskins needed for the Greenskin factions. I honestly understand why people are both for and against this huge amount of reskins, but personally I would like to see them all purely for a thematic reason. That being said, there are a few missing named characters which themselves are quite unique. Firstly, we have Snagler Grobspit, the leader of the Death Creepers. He and his army of spider riders terrorize the old world from their fortress of Black Pit. Snagler and his forces have become quite the terror throughout the forests of Drakwold, and many large spiders patrol the region under his command, keeping any huntsman at bay. In Warhammer Fantasy Battle 8th edition, Snagler himself was a legendary hero character, but it could be possible to see this character elevated to a lord choice, seeing as we currently don't have that many forest goblin variants, so he could technically have a decent amount of units coming with him. Next would be Gatilla the Hunter, leader of the Howlers. Gatilla is an expert hunter, famous within his race for his hit-and-run raiding tactics and excellent scouting skills. Gatilla and his forces are not tied to one specific tribe, but rather travel across the lands, fighting alongside many Greenskin clans to further increase his fame. Next we have Gorfang Rotgut, the true king of Black Crag. Gorfang is an immensely powerful orc, a monster to the dwarves and a terror to the Skaven. Gorfang hunts trolls for sport, seeing them as a fun pastime when not attacking the many Darwi halls of the Badlands. Honestly, unless they move Grimgor, which looks very highly unlikely due to Azag's recent move, this character seems to be unlikely to be added into the Total War Warhammer series, which is a massive shame as Gorfang is well known within the lore. A lot of the Dwarf Kings specifically hate him above all others, especially King Cazador from Karak Azul, so it could be possible to see Gorfang even come in as a FLC Lord should Karak Azul ever become playable, or as a full playable legendary lord with King Cazador being the FLC Lord, but it just seems like there should be a connection between the two. And lastly we have Gorbad Ironclaw, one of the most infamous orcs to ever live. Gorbad is long dead during this point of the timeline of the Total War Warhammer series, although characters such as Azag and Grom were long dead by this point too, so it could be possible to see this character implemented anyway. Long ago, Gorbad was considered to be the greatest war boss to have ever lived, having amassed an army so large that it is yet to be replicated to this day. What is rather curious about Gorbad is that he was an expert tactician, something very uncommonly heard from any Greenskin warboss, where he made use of full archer armies, very heavy use of war machines, and even a lot of hit-and-run tactics more commonly seen from goblins. Gorbad is feared by his forces and almost shattered the Empire itself, having completely destroyed the province of Solent in Warhammer Fantasy lore. However, it is important to note that Solent currently exists in the timeline of Total War Warhammer. Despite his apparent death during his campaign to destroy the Empire, his body was never recovered. Gorbad is still a figure of legend within the Greenskin tribes, where many believe that he serves Gork and Mork in death. Gorbad is perhaps the most well-known orc war boss, obviously below Grimgor Ironhide, so it would be a shame not to see such an iconic figure implemented into the Total War Warhammer series. Honestly, how the Greenskins are at the moment is quite good, with the recent rework that came with the Warden and the Paunch DLC making the Greenskins feel like a top tier faction once again. But unit variety, even in the terms of reskins, is needed for the Greenskins, especially to make each sub-race feel unique. If you ask any tabletop players who played during the 8th edition series of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, you'll find it common to hear from them that any Greenskin players that they played normally had very drastically different armies, and honestly I'd like to see that here. I myself favour full Savage Orc armies, so I would like to be able to do that without the reliance of mods. Don't get me wrong, the mod series here, especially when it comes to Greenskins, works incredibly well, but personally I don't really use a lot of mods, so that could just be it for me. But with that, we've looked towards every possible unit, lord, hero and named character for the Greenskins. Are there any that I've missed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below, we have various different social media links such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team, talk to us about Total War, Warhammer, or just anything really. Also in the description section below is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could get loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Purchasing using this link and also using our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons, your support means the world to us. Honestly, it's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to our patrons Gibraltar LUSC and Ryan Bertsche for subscribing to us at our Fane level. Honestly, you guys are super cool. And a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. Honestly, the channel's been growing a lot lately and it's all thanks to you guys. Without you, the Great Book would be nothing. We're trying to implement more videos into the channel soon, but we're getting stuff done outside of YouTube at the moment, just like artwork and so on for the channel. It's just taking a little while to get everything to look to a standard that we feel is cool. Honestly guys, thank you so much for all the support lately, it's been amazing. But with that my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.